All right, we are back with another episode of the Police Softball Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, June 11th, 2020. And as with every show, I'm super excited for this one because in this particular show, I get an opportunity to talk to people who do what I do for my team, and that is manage it. And it's a really neat perspective that I don't know if everybody really can completely grasp until you're in that position. So, excuse me, we have some greats with us today, and I'm just super pumped to get going. I want to let you know who I am. My name is Trinidad. I'm the coach of the San Antonio Law men's competitive softball team. We are a law enforcement softball team. We've been together since 1998. And seeing that this is a show on managing a team, I wore my shirt today. This is my Val Lopez. My San Antonio Police Department Association tournament was renamed after our initial coach of SA Law. I'm only the second coach, and our initial coach was Val Lopez. You know, SA Law was his brainchild, and so we're very grateful to Val for putting this team together. And I'm very proud and honored to only be the second coach of this outstanding team. So I'm super excited about this show. We're going to welcome my co-host on this particular show. You've met him before. He's responsible for a badass tournament in St. Louis that's going to be coming up here soon. I'll let him give you the dates, but it's the St. Louis Show Me Classic. It's extremely competitive tournament up there. And we've highlighted him on past shows. He is the coach of the Missouri Lawmen, and I'm very happy he was able to break away today to join us, and that is Joe Monahan. What's going on, Joe?
Trini, how you doing, buddy?
Excellent, bud. Excellent, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you guys are taxed with a lot of duties during this current time, and I know that you were able to break away, man, so I appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me again.
Yeah, man. Well, Joe, I'm excited for you to be here because you yourself manage a team along with playing. And I'll say it since you won't, but you were the home run derby champion at our Texas Showdown
I'll never forget it, bud.
Yeah. For me, it's neat because, hey, there you go. I know you don't get tired of seeing that.
It was all my pitcher, man. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to hit those. He was throwing right down the middle.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to have you on. We've shared many conversations about running a team, and all the back end stuff that takes place. And you yourself have helped me out with different ideas of funding a team to be able to allow us to play in these tournaments. People don't realize, man, it can easily run, $400, $400, $500, depending on how long you stay in the tournament to play. So
Yes.
Funds are an important part of it. So I'm excited to be able to have that discussion with you. So we're going to bring Joe back here shortly. I'm going to introduce our next guest. One of the things I want to be able to remind you guys of is that we have a wonderful opportunity to put on a conference. And this conference is called the International Keepers of the Peace First Responders Conference. And this is a badass conference with badass breakouts for sessions for police, fire, military, and EMTs. So we've got a wonderful agenda that's going to be taking place. It's like nothing I've ever seen. I've been in the military before, been a police officer for 23 years, and I've never been to a conference like the one we're getting ready to put on. So that's going to be April of next year in beautiful downtown San Antonio. And that's April 12th through the 14th. So we'll be announcing that here shortly. If you want to get more information on that and to be able to tune in on other shows that I put out, you can tune into Trinidad. We'll give some instructions on how to do that here in just a little bit. One of the things you'll want to do is go to that YouTube channel because I'm giving away a Chris Vector. You guys have never seen a Chris Vector. It's a badass gun, man. It's tons of fun to shoot, and they're hard to get a hold of. So I've got one. And I'm going to be giving it away. We'll give those instructions at the end on how to be qualified to put that on. All right, so we're going to go to our first guest here. This man is the coach of the Mid-Atlantic team and Lockdown Lawmen. He is a PS.com Hall of Famer. In 2007, he was inducted. He's won the Chevy Wright Award winner, which is for sportsmanship. I know that I've been very fortunate to be able to play against both of all three of actually the guys that are going to be joining me on this show, and it's always an extreme pleasure to be a part across the field from this guy, because I know what he feels for the game, and I'm excited to have him on for that reason. It's neat to be able to share those thoughts and those feelings that I have for the love of the game with like these guests that we have on today. So he is a two-time U-Trip champion, and he is a 1995 PS.com World Series champ. Hopefully I got it all right, Terry. I know he didn't send me not even a quarter of the stuff that he's won before, but want to welcome Terry Dugan to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing? That was 2017 PS.com, and then 95 it was the Tidewater Lawmen. Me and Ralph, who still coaches with me after 35 years.
I love Ralph.
We won that,
Yeah, I love Ralph, man, and I can't wait to have him on the show. There he is.
There you go.
I can't wait to have him on the show too. We've all shared some good conversation, and Ralph
Dude
and I
hits
talk
3 days a week. He hits 3 days a week still.
Awesome, man. Awesome. He's got forearms like it too, man. They're all ripped.
He plays that 65 major plus thing or whatever, and he enjoys it.
Yeah. Terry, hey man, I appreciate your service. I see that that background that you got there, man, and I care extremely. I'm extremely passionate for my service to my country. I'm very proud of my service to my country, man, and I appreciate your service, man.
Yeah, I'm a walking billboard with a couple Marine Corps tattoos,
Yeah.
Got brainwashed when I was 17, 18.
Awesome, man. Well, we again really indebted to you for you allowing us to have our freedoms and our liberties that we have in this country. Thank you for that. Terry, just a quick thing about you too, man, is you run a very cool shop that you've run for many years, I believe. I know that here recently you've had some changes, but you've been involved in softball for quite a while, man. And what different facets have you been involved in besides obviously managing and I know coach or playing?
Well, I was obviously playing for a lot of years, and then but then I got to running the Virginia Beach Police Tournament for the last probably 15, 20 years. And with me, it wasn't about the wins and losses are nice. We had a good team, all that. But I love the fact that you get the gold teams, silver teams to come in the tournament. And our tournament catered to the lower level teams because they really make the tournament. And every year we would have teams that you'd never see anywhere else come on down. And it was great. I had 4 different precincts from New York, the Hartford, Connecticut, Puerto Rico team come down and play. We just had a blast. And then it got to be a little bit much. I'm 60 now, retired for 10 years. I closed lockdown in April, thank God, because of the COVID. I didn't close it because of that. I was planning to close for 6 months. But once the COVID hit, ain't nobody buying no bats and balls or nothing. So I the good Lord was looking out for me there. But I still sell shoes out of the trailer and storage, and just to keep myself busy. But I don't work, But I that's basically how it went down as far as lockdown.
Yeah.
As far as me coaching, I love the team we got now. They've had good teams, bad teams. Even when we had bad teams, I went to tournaments with 10 live bodies.
Yeah.
But you got to realize what you got.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get into it, man. I'm ready to get into this show, and I know you have a lot of great conversation for us headed up. So I'm excited, man. Albert, thank you very much for joining us. I won't say his last. Well, it's on there. So he's. I'm at an off duty, so this is perfect. We got Audrey Trinidad who's saying modest Monahan because it's true. I think when you saw that clip of him after he won the home run derby, I may have gotten 15 words out of him. So having a podcast with a bunch of policemen sometimes can be difficult, but I think this one's going to be okay. And Ralph Hamlin says, staying up past my bedtime just to keep Terry straight. Hey, Ralph, I'm really hoping to get you on this show here soon, man. I enjoy our conversation, so I'm looking forward to it. And Tyrone, what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining us from Wichita, Kansas, where I was stationed my base. I met Tyrone when we were up there, man. So thank you for tuning in. We'll go on to our next. Oh, one thing I want to tell you, man, is we got any questions for these coaches? You got any questions in general about softball? Make sure that you join in on our live chat, ask the questions, and we'll try to get to all of them. So our next guest, he is the coach of the DEA Combo, and anyone in the circuit, in our circuit, knows both of these teams. Mid-Atlantic, of course, and the DEA Combo. He is a World Series Majors champion, 5-time Masters Division World Series champion. He's a Police Softball Hall of Fame, 2010. And this man here hosts the DEA Kickoff Tournament. Now, I've been to Terry's tournament, been to Joe's tournament, have not been able to make it to the DEA tournament, but it's on our radar. Hopefully we have a few extra funds and we can make that happen here coming up. But my next guest, Jimmy Gomez. What's going on, Jimmy?
How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm very honored that you would be here with us today, man. Again, just like with Terry, I've heard all the stories, about you, about the team, and I just know that although I've managed a team, I look to this circuit, and this holds a lot of greats in this circuit, and I do consider you guys those greats. So thank you very much for joining us, man.
Well, I appreciate it. It's an honor. It's an honor, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you, so when we talk about DEA Combo, everybody knows those guys are going to be up there, top rank. We're talking, how many teams in the circuit do they go to Vegas? Isn't it like 60 something?
Yeah, it's 60 plus for sure.
Yeah. And so there's a certain kind of pressure that comes with everybody looking at you and saying, "Oh, those dudes." You guys have been at it for a long time. I'm looking forward to talking to you more about, like, how do you handle that pressure? What do you tell your guys? We got some good questions coming up. But how long have you been at the game of managing? Not just with DEA Combo, but just managing in general.
Well, I started on the circuit, I want to say 91, somewhere around 91. And then, and DEA, and I've only been with DEA Combo. This is the only team I've ever played with. And when I first came on the team, there was only a handful of guys who weren't agents with DEA. And as the years went through, guys get transferred, go overseas, go to headquarters, things like that. It's constantly evolving. And so as those guys left, I started picking up the slack, finding guys, friends of friends who are cops and things like that. And then probably somewhere around maybe 01, 02 is when I completely took over the team. And then, and honestly, they say I'm the coach or whatever. I'm not really the coach anymore. I'm more of a GM because I've got some great kids
point.
that really pick up the slack, and I want to give them some shout outs. Mike McMorrow, Cheddar, K Moore, Rob Mason. Those guys really over the years have come through and taking the reins. And we're really at the point where we don't have any DEA guys. And I've tried over the years to get DEA guys, but you just can't, it's hard to find them.
Yeah.
And so these kids have actually come in, and I said, "Do you want to change the name or whatever?" And they're like, "Nope, we're going to stay with it because
that's cool.
Because that's the history." And so, I'm the old saying, surround yourself with good people. Well, I have it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome, man. And that's what I'm really looking forward to this show for, because I know that my thoughts and my feelings, along with Joe, are going to resonate with you guys, and we're going to have this conversation about things that we truly get about managing a team. And so, I'm excited. I didn't know that DA was your only team. That's pretty cool, man. That's the same thing with me with SA Law. That's my only team, and again, being only the second coach, it just has that extra place in your heart, extra special place in your heart, and people can see this as just a softball team. No, dude, this is a huge part of my life. And so when I when I do what I do on the back end of things, people may see it from the outside looking in, like, oh, he might be one of those glory guys that, wants the attention or whatever. No, man, it is because what SA law has been to me in my life, and one of my foundational pieces, is why I do what I do. These guys are what it is. It's not a trophy. It's not anything. It's not any of those accolades, man. It's showing up every weekend and being able to hang out with these dudes, and not every weekend, but the weekends that we play. Sure. It's hanging out with these. It's that camaraderie. It's that fellowship. That's what it is to me. So I know you guys share that, and I'm excited. Steve, what's going on, Steve, with the county? Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. He says, great job. Wayne Spencer, love what you're doing, Trini. Thank you very much. My son, he says, I was a manager for my varsity basketball team, and I'm excited for this segment as it pertains to managing and coaching. Yeah, very cool. And we got Justin. Justin's, I think, Joe, you can come back in, Joe, if you're there. Justin's Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, he's from Tulsa.
Yeah, I play for Joe, class act, huge heart, huge head. So thankful to be a part of this circuit. No, he doesn't.
Huge head, yeah. Another head joke. That's back-to-back episodes. Head joke.
And you know what sucks is I'm not the one bringing it up. I'm being egged on by your guys. I'm just letting you know, and I'll tell you who it is after the show.
I'm sure I know.
But all right, so we'll bring Terry back in also. Hey, man, so when we're talking about, on this episode, we're talking about running a team, right? One of the pictures that I was able to acquire from Terry is a picture we're about to show. And what I noticed is on Terry's shirt, you'll see team first. And I love that because it went with what this show's about. And I'm going to ask each one of you to expand on what that means to you, team first. And Terry, since you were wearing that shirt, why don't you go ahead and start us off, man?
Well, what happened? Mid-Atlantic was a fairly new team, but the same guys, we just changed the name. We added North Carolina guys to the mix, and we were young. So when we were going to tournaments, we were blowing our home runs out after 3-4 innings. And finally, we said, guys, we're losing the teams that we should be beating because of the home runs were, 4 or 5 home runs were for outs. And so finally, we put it on the shirt, and lo and behold, that year we won. And so it kind of stuck with us. We tried to put it on the sleeve, or we talk about that, and then and minute we got it into everybody's head, solos not the way to go. It's gonna happen, but it's not like 4 or 5 solos. And once we got into the team first thing, it worked out real well, and it kind of stuck.
Yeah, and that's a big part of being a part of any team. But in particular, when we were talking about coaching, and especially in law enforcement, having that team first mentality, that's how we handle every day. I mean, when we're out there and we're working, we're always thinking about our brother or sister to our left or to our right. And a lot of times they take that priority. We don't even think of ourselves, disregard our own safety. I cannot let my partner down. I can't, so that carries over. And that's what I love about police softball too. So, Joe, what do you got?
I think Terry's on the money with it. I also think as far as team first goes, I think you have to, if you got a guy struggling, you're picking them up instead of putting them down. And you see a lot more of that, I think, in the police circuit. I also think, whether a guy who's been playing outfield his whole life or his whole softball career, and maybe moving him to a corner infield spot or something will help the team out overall. And maybe they don't want to do it, but team like Terry was saying, team first. If it's going to help the team, that's got to be done. And guys with the right attitude will understand that. And majority, there's always guys that struggle with team first. I think at some point. There's guys on every team probably that struggle with that kind of mentality at some point, but I think it's our jobs kind of to help them along and get that drilled into their head, and with the right guy talking to them, you get to know your guys, and you know how to talk to them, and I think you can sit down and you can make it known, why you're doing what you're doing. If you're asking them to play a different position, bat in a different position than what they're used to, stuff like that, to go along with what Terry said about blowing home runs out, HROs, solos, stuff like that.
Yeah. I know that I'm going to give Jimmy that opportunity to answer, but to piggyback on what you're saying, Joe, what I like about having an established team is that even when somebody comes in, they were probably carrying, well, at least in my experience, the ones that sometimes take a little time to adjust, they probably carried a team in a civilian aspect, a civilian team. And they come from a mindset of like, hey, everybody's looking at me like, what's up, man? You're the one that has the band. You're supposed to be hitting them out. And on our team, we just have a different mentality. It's not about that. Nobody's coming out here to fly out. Nobody's coming out here to make an error. You will not get down somebody. We can get on each other in that competitive spirit. Like, come on, man, let's go. What are we doing here? We're relaxing. We're going to let these dudes, get back on us or whatever. But no, everybody on our team gets it. And it doesn't, even if you have a hard time initially adjusting, over time they realize, all right, hey, man, this group's not about that. And you know what this is about, put that team first. And it starts for me as a manager. If I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sit or I'm a competitor. I played a lot of ball, but I still put team first. And we all know who the best 10 or 11 is supposed to be out there. So I think that that's important. And to have that team mentality, it makes it easier when somebody comes maybe new to the team and they can adjust. Jimmy, what are your thoughts? Team first.
Well, I echo what both these guys said. It's for me, and I think most of my guys understand. A lot of the guys that come to our team have been on the circuit with other teams and things like that, and they probably were the guy. That's why they want to play up, because they were probably, a lot of guys were playing down or whatever. Or they come from over another team, and the biggest thing is for me is, this isn't about you. This is about us. We're a family. That's the way I look at it, is we're a family. This is something that we do. And you've mentioned it on some of your other shows, to blow off steam and to, relieve stress or whatever. So when you come out here, you're part of the team, and just being that individual doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for me. And I think most of the guys on the team, they understand that. And, there's no doubt that there's been bumps in the road with some guys that have come, but they figure it out. I preach it. And now I think the younger kids that are kind of running the show now, they do the same thing. We'd love to win for sure. And we're there to win, but we're also there to be together and be a family and take this and ride it for as long as we can.
One of the things you said, Jimmy, that I love is that we can sit here all day as managers and talk about this. But what I think is really special is when your teammates really, when they express what it is you do as a manager, for not only them, but also like the team, like, man, we really appreciate what you're doing, because it isn't just about the championship, man. It's about providing that opportunity for everybody to mix and mingle. And I thought, all right, well, what better way to understand that than to have somebody join us that could speak directly from that angle. So Lou, welcome back to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for coming on again.
Thank
How's
you.
the baby doing?
He's good. He's getting better. A little more sleep.
Nice.
And I hear you on the big head. It's hard to find hats. Jimmy knows.
We never had to fit that guy.
I'm the exact opposite, man. I got to put a little clip back here sometimes because I got a little head. But hey, Lou, I wanted to ask you onto the show, man, just to give us your perspective. We talked last week about you being a home run king, and a lot of it was focused on what you do as an individual to help your team out when it comes to home runs and just your play in general. But give us your perspective on what Jimmy means to the team and then to yourself, if you don't mind.
I'm sure the other guys are the same to their teams. Like Jimmy for us is the leader. He's also a sound voice. I know what he's saying, like with Mike and Chad and Mace and Kevin stepping in. But when when it comes to certain situations or, experience wise, it don't have to be softball related. It could be home environment. It could be job related. And like you said, we're a combo. So meaning we have guys from different agencies. So we cross-reference work or questions or any doubts we may have. But on top of that, on the field, I mean, there's everybody, like you guys are saying, you guys have to manage different personalities, different egos. And it seems like Jimmy's always the calming voice. And when I came on the team a couple years ago, they're welcoming from the beginning. And but also my role was it was clear from the beginning. And if you have to change that role, he's able to ease that to any of the guys. And when we need a little fire to be lit up under us, he's right there after the game, letting us know, pick the shit up, let it go, or move on. Or if we're struggling on an individual basis on the plate, you can tell when guys are tense. We were talking about that last week. He's always there, or one of the other guys step in and make sure he brings us back to the main goal. And the main goal is to keep it together and like I said, family environment to de-stress together.
Yeah. I have not had the opportunity to sit down and talk to Jimmy as much. I know we will here in the future, because I really think it'd be a neat thing to kind of coaches get together at some point in Vegas and to be able to just have a little sit down, even if it's just for an hour or two, just to be able to talk and kind of express ourselves and all. I think it'd be really neat. But for you as an individual, when it comes to Jimmy, what is your how important is it to have that person at the helm? Because I've seen a lot of teams where, you live or die off of that energy, and your coach, your manager, your coach has to have a certain type of position to people, not just on the field, but off the field. And I harp on that a lot. In fact, if you don't mind real quick, I think there's a video that right after 2016, we were able to win that championship. If we can play that, and hopefully y'all will be able to hear it. We'll see how it goes.
I love this team and what we stand for off the field, just as much as what we do on the field, not more. It means a lot to me, and I'll tell you, if y'all can't feel it, my family will tell you, my heart is in this. Y'all know that. From the day I was laying in my bed thinking I might not play anymore or might not be here, I'm not sure, to this moment is unbelievable for me. So thank each one of you. Tony?
Hey guys, we're just glad we're here. That's the main thing. We love spending time with y'all. There's nothing like the camaraderie that we have here in this dugout, in the field, in the hotel room. It's just awesome. Nobody can understand unless you're part of the team. I know you can get a little bit of an inkling if you're connected to the team, but unless you're part of this team, you just don't understand. We've been through a lot together. Not everybody may not have been part of from the beginning of the journey, but y'all joined it on the path to this. Okay? And that's just like he said. We have passion often on the field.
And I think that's what a manager does for you we are absolutely, it's imperative for us to not only be who we need to be on the field, but also off the field. And I love it when a manager has that type of, and what you just said, Luke, it means a lot, because that's one of the biggest compliments is when you positively affect someone's life outside of just softball. When you're there for them, you're able to guide them, you're able to help them grow. We all have a little age on us. So that's our responsibility also is make sure that we guide these dudes, not just on the field. And that's very important to me. So yeah, that's cool. Jimmy?
Thanks, Lou. I appreciate that. I mean, it's going from player coach to just kind of coaching now. And, it's your guy said it, it's a journey.
Did he freeze up on us?
And,
okay.
To still stay in the game. And so, I just enjoy being out there with the guys. It's now I'm retired. So, I got more time.
Man, that's Terry, Jimmy, myself, that's retired. Joe, got a little while.
A few years. Well,
Enjoy it.
I feel like I aged quite a few years in these last 15, 20 days. I'll tell you that. I'm tired of talking.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, in the same way that Lou came out and be able to express himself about Jimmy, well, we got another special guest.
What's up?
Welcome back, man. It's back to back dudes that have been on the show, the episode. We had such great feedback on you guys that we said we got to bring them back. So thank you very much, Corey, for joining us again, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. I'm glad you had me.
Same thing with you, brother. Just touch on Terry as far as what he does for the team, and then in particular yourself.
We heard these guys were trying to steal our thunder, so we had to come back on here. No, man, a lot of the same things, really. Terry, man, he's a huge supporter. He's got our back through the ups and downs we've had. Like he mentioned earlier, we've had some good years, and we've had some not so good years. That's easy to say, but he's always there for us. Whether we have a bad tournament, or a bad season, he's not giving up on us. So that's important, is to always have somebody, behind you, supporting you the whole way. He knows the game. He's been around it a lot longer than, a lot of us. So just the knowledge of the game that he brings and shares with us, it goes a long way. He knows how to play the game, and he expects us to play the game the right way. It's like he mentioned earlier, it's a team game. It took us a few years to, get our team together and learn that. I think we all just wanted to be, the guy with the big hit, but now, we'd rather have the guy behind us getting that big hit. So that brought our game to a different level. It's whatever aspect you want to hit on. I think we're the most spoiled team in the country, and I'll live and die by that. Cool. I couldn't play for anybody else.
Awesome.
We've had it made, man, and he literally would give you the shirt off his back, and it's a family atmosphere. He wants the wives and the girlfriends there. It's literally every aspect of the game he's there for us. So. You can't complain when you got old T. He's a Yankee, but he's our damn Yankee.
And you guys got a double whammy with you and with Terry and Ralph also, boy. I'm sure you guys get an earful.
That's right. Look, he'll let us know when we mess up, but he's got our back. There's no doubt.
Terry?
Guys, it takes I appreciate that, Corey. A lot of guys don't realize that the officers down in North Carolina and Virginia, they don't make no money. They don't make no money, and I realized that a long time ago. And I obviously I pick up 99% of the fees of the team, and I had no problem with it. I don't shove it in their faces, nothing like that. I want them to respect it, but I don't. I ain't asking them to run to 7-Eleven, give me a Slurpee, something like that. But
do they still sell those? Do they still sell them?
But the biggie, and if you guys remember, you guys all played against me, and when we had our tournament, we'd had 300-400 cops around the first and third base line. My biggest thing was, this is after coming from 35 plus years in law enforcement ball, and probably more than that now, but don't waste your time, coaches and players out there. Don't waste your time getting to know other players from other parts of the country, because in the beginning of my time, when I had a needle sticking out of my butt playing this game, that we love, and you don't really meet the guys. But now Donnie, Andy, Robbie from Jacksonville, all these other, even my boy Dennis, all these guys. I wouldn't give up for nothing, because I wasted too much time in the beginning of our career not getting to know friends. So I do preach to, hey, guys, get to know these people. And that's where this lockdown lawman team came into play. We got half West Coast, half East Coast, and we're doing well, But I say, don't waste your time not getting to know these other guys. Rennie, you're a good dude. Joe, you got the heart into it. Jimmy, me and you talk all the time whenever we see each other, but I like the social aspect is what I'm here for. obviously my team wants to win, but I realized a couple of years ago, if I rent a house and have my guys come with the girls and guys, my other players didn't mind getting a blow up mattress. I mean, their house would be 8 to 10 bedrooms, something like that in Vegas. But I realized the camaraderie was 10 times stronger.
Absolutely.
I had to keep some of these knuckleheads. We had some guys who never even been to Vegas. Go out to Vegas, stay up to 7 o'clock in the morning, and the ball hit him square in the head in the outfield. So I had to sit him for about 3 games. You remember that, Corey? I had to sit him for about 3 games, and then he came back strong. But you got to understand what these guys, they make 38, 45 grand a year. You talk to the West Coast guys, New York guys, that's their part-time money. So I don't really dig into their wallets too much, but I do ask for a little loyalty. I do want them to play, and I am very, very blessed to have the guys we got with the team now, and except that they're pumping out babies like it's going out of style. I got more marriages and babies coming out than anybody around, but that's part of life, And
Terry, don't you just ask for them to just time it a little bit better? Maybe 9 months before October. How about we just put it off a little bit, or maybe a little earlier? Corey,
we just try to hide the catcher at third base or second or whatever. Hopefully you don't hit it to them, but it goes. It is what it is, And most teams that know is now if you've got your full squad or you don't. But we're there, And but this game here, and was different. And far as I know, you're going to get into the sponsorships later on. Is it? And we'll go into that. But Corey, I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, sure. Always.
Heal up.
Corey, Lou, thank you guys for joining us, man. We really appreciate it, man. It's very special.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you,
boys. Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Nate, thank you very much for tuning in, man. Terry and Jimmy G, 2 of the best on the circuit. Paul O. Chavez Jr. Tuning in. Eddie Leal. Thomas Eldridge. Thomas said he's feeling old. He's been coaching for his 39th year for the CT Lawmen, man. Yeah, that's awesome, Thomas. I do want to be able to have you on one of our shows. I got you in mind, man, so don't sweat that. Albert Sanchez, we're going to get to a question. He says, TD and Jimmy, what helps keep those players around that aren't necessarily starters? Do y'all do anything specific to keep the drive there throughout the whole team?
Well, for us, I mean, most guys that come to our team, want to come there because of what we've kind of built. So when they come, they know that they just basically have to create that opportunity. They're going to get opportunities, obviously, because we play. It's hard, even though we got 18 guys on the roster. We really have to travel a lot. So, and with work and family and and all that stuff, it's hard to have any consistency. So, guys come over, guys role players, and then they take advantage of their time and they go in, they make their name and maybe they win a spot, maybe they don't, but they understand that when they come there, this is an established team. This isn't just, a team that was developed 3 years ago. So they've got to wait their turn, so to speak. And I think, guys, it's the attitude of them that creates what we have, and don't get me wrong. We'll have guys that come and try to make it and then leave or whatever for their own reasons. Yeah. I've never, well, I can't say never, but, ask somebody to leave.
Yeah.
It's come out, see where you fit in and go from there.
I think that's a great point, Jimmy, is the difference between an established team with a reputation as opposed to a team starting out. And Albert, I think one of his points, Albert's been a player on our team forever. And that was one of Albert is, and he was in the beginning, especially like a role player, like a utility player. And I can't tell you as a manager how important it is to have that dude. People don't understand how important it is that I can have somebody who is not going to have attitude because we're on a roll, things are working, they're clicking, and he's waiting his turn. And then when I actually call him up, because we it's time, dude has no attitude, zero attitude, gets in there. He is absolutely at bat for his teammates, not himself.
He's a keeper.
Dude, I'm telling you, guy's essential to our team. So I think that's where, I want to talk to those new teams, Terry. Like, you got a new team. Let's say it's not established, like you guys all have established teams. What do you do as a manager to keep those role players on board and to be able to, keep them involved and keep them wanting to be a part?
The competition you're playing. If you're playing, you got your 11, 12 guys that that are going to step on a B level team. You got to let the other guys play on a lower level team and get some swings, let them get confident. And, you might have a speedster out there that knows his role. You might have a base hit guy that when we're out of home runs later on. But coming to, like, I got a couple of guys that just show up in Vegas and their PTs just show up in Vegas. That's all they get. They get a little bit here and there. And I need you all throughout the year. And they got to establish themselves. I don't know what, I heard, the friend tells them they're real good. But, hey, unless you're out there playing on these other Tampa tournament, was a good tournament. We bought 2-3 new guys down there. You bring other tournaments that you go to, and you get them some, especially with bracket games, you get them some playing time. But, the World Series is it's tough from the gate, and your seeding is all important. And so you got to take that lead and let them get in and get some swings in. But not, this ain't OJT at the World Series.
And one thing too, inevitably, when you go to that tournament or any big tournament, it's going to take more than, your 10, 11 guys that you're playing. Excellent. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to go in the tank, and you need those guys to step up. If you want to compete, tournament, every tournament, you better have 2 or 3 guys minimum that can go in and make, get it done. Yeah. And it happens every tournament. There's always a guy that you don't expect that's going to come in and make the impact to get over the hump. It happens every year.
Yeah.
Or every tournament.
Some of those guys stepping up may not be stepping up at the end of the tournament, could be stepping up in the beginning of the tournament to save legs for, for guys that the top, like you said, Terry, you said the top, your top 10 guys. There's going to be guys that are going to be stepping in early on in the tournament to save those legs of those guys for the 8th and 9th game, so they're still ready to go. And and those guys
like the Met color.
Yeah, I love it. I love the new unis.
Yeah.
We've got let's see, who was it? Let's see, I think it was Ralph. Ralph made a comment. Tell Thomas, don't feel old. This is my 47th year playing and coaching. God damn, Ralph. Jesus. Hey, we got Brendan.
Me and him been together at least 35, 36 of those 47.
I love seeing you guys together, man. It's freaking, it's such great
too.
But great chemistry, man. I mean, and there's a loyalty there and a commitment to each other that everybody who comes to that team senses it. I know they do. I've got, Manny and Eric, they're my go-to guys. And that's one of those things we're going to talk about later. But, when people come to the team and they see that there's a well-oiled machine and they see that, okay, there's a certain way of things going around, and people like structure, and having structure on a team is important. And I think that having those key people that are your go-to guys that help, maybe when you're away from the field and there's a little bit of chatter going on, you got those guys who are able to say, look, dude, that's not the way it is. And you need to readjust your thinking because it just isn't going to work here. And so I know that that's what you and Ralph are together. You got Brendan Gilbert who says, Joe does have a huge head. That's why he doesn't wear hats. Anthony,
joke. I love it.
Anthony, appreciate you joining in, brother. Dustin, Andreas, offense sells tickets, team defense wins championships. All right, that's what I'm talking about, Andreas. He's one that comes up to your tournament every year. Joe helps us out. John Irvin says managing, hardest part of the game. And we're going to get into 100%. That. Yeah, man, we're going to get into that. Dennis Kiefer, hey, man, what's going on, brother? He's a good job training. How's retirement? It's going really well, man. I'm extremely busy, but I get to do things like this and don't have to worry about shift work or anything like that. So I'm really excited. Thanks for tuning in. Dennis has been a pitcher for a long time. He's never been a part of our circuit, but on a local level, Dennis was pitching for a while. So I'm going to go to this next question, and that is, do you have somebody that keeps the team relaxed by cracking jokes and having fun? And if so, how important is that to you, and who is it on your team? I know for us, I'll just say it's Jay. Jay, man, from the very beginning, before we even start playing, that dude's hitting on people. I mean, he's making it light and he's having fun, but it helps that he also produces. That helps a lot, not just cracking jokes, but he also produces. So that's our guy, and that's our go-to guy, and it doesn't quite feel the same if he's not there. I'm very fortunate that he's there all the time, so that really helps. But who do you got, Joe? Who do you got?
I'd say our guy from Missouri is going to be Shane Monig, Shane the Mouth Monig. It could be 6 o'clock in the morning. We could be taking BP, and that guy's running his mouth, a million miles an hour, and he's cracking jokes left and right. He's singing, getting everybody in a good mood, and he's just one of those guys from the beginning of the tournament to the end who, he's 99% of the time he's in a great mood and picking everybody up. And that's the kind of guy you need on your team. And anytime I need help with anything, he's there for me, man. And he's great. He's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Guys?
For us, I don't know that I could pick one person out. I mean, I think we've got several guys, and I think it moves around, based on the tournament and based what's going on. I don't know that we have one guy. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure maybe these guys will chime in or whatever.
No, Jimmy's got a team full of guys like that.
Right.
That's awesome.
And I mean, you got guys this game it's this guy, and this game it's that guy, and I think that kind of goes back to that whole family atmosphere that they all kind of do it, and that's that picture right there, that's police softball to me.
Absolutely.
That was we won our tournament this year. That was this year's picture, and that means everything to me right there. Yeah. If it wasn't for the kids and the wives and girlfriends, what are we doing?
You're right. 100%. And Terry, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer here in a second. I'm just going to chime in quickly in that. Unlike you, Jimmy, I have had to, unfortunately, I've had to let a couple guys go. One of them couldn't control his mouth around family. And you're not going to do that around us. You can do that on the streets. You can do that in your that's what roll call's for. It's what all that stuff's for. Not around this team. And this is a family environment. And it just works out. St. Louis happens to be it just works out. It's one of our guy trips. But it absolutely is not a requirement guy trip. Nope. I'm taking my wife this year. A couple of dudes are taking their wives, and my kids will join me. It is absolutely family first. And I think that is actually a core piece of what makes our team. If you don't have the wives or the families on board, it's going to be very difficult for you to be a part of a team like ours, like this here. It's going to be very difficult to be a part of our team because we are asking your family to give you up for a part of the time that they have you that's already limited. I will not take that lightly. So I've had to get rid of somebody for that reason, just couldn't change it. And then the second one was, the drinking, unfortunately. There are certain dudes that can have some and perform. And then there are those that just, they have some and then they go over that edge and it's like, dude, that's just not what we're here to do. That's why you stay a day later if you need to be able to get that out of your system and hang out. But we're here to play ball, and everybody's using their own time on their own dime, and they're taking time away from their families or even bringing them with them. And we're going to respect that. So, Terry, I didn't mean to jump in that much, but, who do you have on your team? Or is it one individual? Is it collective? Or
No, we got a trifecta. So you better not fall down between first and second. You're going to get dogged out. But you got Tyler, you got Corey, he's brutal. TJ, you got this little kid named Kurt playing second. He's brutal. Chris, we got a lot of guys. So which is fun. And then to do that. And then, like you said about the drinking, we had a guy last year, Mike Kellett. I love you, Kellett. He got drunk. We had a little funeral for him because he passed out. But my thing is, if the guys we have games the next day, I try to get them a little buzzed early. 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. We're in our racks by 11.
Yeah.
Something like that. Especially if we're in the house or something. This guy, he passed out on his mattress. They bought flowers on him. We were all standing around him. They were filming him. Oh man, it was funny. Yeah, it was comical. And he basically had a funeral for him, but then he woke up. And he's one of these gung ho guys. Country, I could barely understand him, but he's a fun dude, and he took it well.
Yeah.
But you have to have those breaks.
Yeah. No, I think it's extremely important because I'm a very intense guy, and I'm really actually extremely intense. And this is a therapy for me to be able to come out here and to talk around people that I'm comfortable with, and I know I share the love of the game and the camaraderie. But I am pretty intense. I absolutely rely on my guys to lighten that mood up in there. So I think they're extremely important to us. We got Steve and two joining in. Jay 100%. We got a guy on our team named Cody Wayne. He's Cody. Then he becomes Cody Wayne, and then he becomes Mexican Cody. And Mexican Cody's very difficult to control, but man, is he hilarious. And I hope Mexican Cody doesn't show up till after the tournament. We got Wayne Spencer joining us, been playing with Terry since 2006. Best manager I've ever played for. Takes care of the players and demands respect for the game. I think that's important. One of the things I tell my guys is, we're going to do our talking with our sticks and our gloves. You do not disrespect that other team. And we can get intense, we can get into it and all that for the spirit of the competition. But other than that, we've got to keep in mind what we're here, who we're here with and what we're here for. So, Joe, did you comment already on your guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So on this next question, so in a team meeting before a big game, what do you like to emphasize with your team going into that big game? Sometimes those nerves get going and everybody's worked as hard as they have. They get to that either a tough team, a really tough team, or it could be the championship. Like one of those things that you go to when it comes to wanting to remind your guys of before you go into a huge game.
Now you let the secrets out now.
Uh-oh.
My thing is I get on the guys for pitch selection. Wait on your pitch. Hit your pitch. And don't get up there gripping the bat like it's going to fall, take it apart in your hand. Wait on that pitch and then hit it. Obviously, we're not looking to kill the middle or anything like that, but wait on your pitch. There's a lot of guys, they start swinging the balls and stuff like that. We've kind of gotten real good at lately of waiting on our pitch. We used to have guys just bomb it out and, swinging balls and stuff like that. But I think it's a U-trip, man. It's a hard game, and you got to see what that pitcher can do. That's my opinion.
For me, it's more just stay within yourself. Don't do more, than you need to do. Go with the pitch, take what he gives you. I say that all the time. Take what he gives you, go with your strength. Don't overthink it. Just stay back, relax. It's a game. This is softball. This isn't what you're doing out on the streets. This is softball. This is fun. So stay within yourself. Have fun. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's pressure. I mean, but try to relieve that and just stay within yourself and do what you do best.
And Joe, I know you're going to comment next. It reminded me, Jimmy, what you just said is a guy on our team, Jonathan Reyes. He told me, dude, if you're going to go out with your best. And I think about that when I go up there because it's like, man, I don't want to let the nerves or the moment get to me. I want to be able to, hey, if I'm going to go out, I want to make sure I give it my best. And it kind of takes me back to like, forget, dude, it's just a softball field. It's the same field we play on. The lines aren't closer, they're not wider. It's a softball field. You've been playing softball for an extremely long time. Just go with what got you here, So, Joe, What do you got? What do you tell your guys for a big game?
As far as offensively, like Terry and Jimmy said, be patient, sit back, wait. Defensively, use your head. Just do the basics. You don't need to be out there making, diving play every time. Field it, hold them to a single, and also offensively, take the extra base when they give it to you. Basically just use your head. I mean, most guys already know everything that we're telling them. I mean, they played the game long enough, but those are just the things that I, try to hammer in their head before the big game.
Yeah. So we're going to, one of the things that comes up in our circuit, which is the policesoftball.com circuit, ps.com, is traveling. I mean, I'm going to tell you, as a manager of a team, raising funds is extremely difficult for us. And but there's my team right there on the plane. I try to make sure these dudes know that traveling together, staying together, it's huge. What we do off that field matters a ton. What we do on the field.
You ain't got a chubby guy in there, do you?
But that on that note, one of the reasons I started Shields for Kids, our nonprofit, was to get my guys to do something outside of the field that brings us closer together. And that was a great thing that we started, and we do a lot of great things for kids in the community. But I know that one of the questions I want to ask you is about raising funds for the team. So I would love to travel more. And, Terry, you hit on pay. We're talking about also newborns. We're talking about, buying a new home. I mean, there are tons of things that come in throughout the year that can affect whether your guys are capable of being able to travel or not. Raising funds is a big thing that helps. What do you guys do to help raise funds? Like, what is one of your best fundraisers? Is it just sponsorships? Is it events? What do you guys do for those teams that are out there trying to find money to be able to travel and attend other people's tournaments?
I'd say for my team, there's a few different ways that we get the funds. Obviously, sponsorships is a big thing. That's not always easy for a lot of teams. Our majority of our funds come from a golf tournament that I put on. I've been putting that on for the last 10 years. And my goal is to get every guy that plays on the team with us, to get them involved in it and to get them to bring in whole sponsorships or prizes or auction items or anything like that, guns that we could auction off, stuff like that, so that we can have this fundraising event and bring in the money to, support the team throughout the year. And some years are better than others. And some years were in the past where we didn't have as much, fundraising money that came in. I did something called a commitment fee, basically, where we got together and we decided X amount of dollars each player. If you want to commit to this team, this is the amount of money we want each player to commit on top of the funds that we're raising or we're bringing in from other things we're doing. But it's easier said than done. It takes time. The golf tournament's about a 3-month commitment to run every year. But it's worth it in my eyes. I enjoy it. I love the guys on the team, and I love traveling with the guys and going to see guys like Jimmy and Terry and you and we get to go travel around, play a game, and hang out with our friends all over the country. It's great.
Yeah.
For us, it's mainly our tournament. That's where we make our money. And then we have Elite Sports, Carlos Vega. He's
a big supporter.
Yeah, he's a huge of the whole
Yes.
circuit. But we went to him probably sometime, I don't know, middle 2000s. And I want to say if we weren't the first, we were one of the first police teams that they kind of sponsored to, basically, just kind of taking care of us with uniforms and things like that. So
which is huge.
Not blowing up our budget. And then also Brett Helmer with Easton Sports, he's been with us forever and, helping us keep costs down, providing bats, prizes. Carlos as well, providing prizes for our tournaments over both of them. over the years, to help keep our costs down. And really from that, we're able to cover tournament fees. Now I got a little different theory on what to pay for and what not to pay for. I can't remember if we were talking about this off air or not, but it's kind of like, I want you to have some skin in the game.
Skin in the game. Yeah.
Right. So, because back in the day, we just were like, here you go, here's whatever, you don't have to worry about anything. And I don't know, it didn't work for me. I like to have guys that have skin in the game, but at the same time, you're not paying for a uniform, if you need some equipment, let's see what we can do or whatever, and try to keep those costs down. But I want a commitment too, not just, hey, I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
So I try to find that balance of, to make it work for us.
It's only been a couple of years that we've, I've really worked harder on raising funds. But it wasn't too long ago, man. We're pitching in every tournament. And it gets difficult on the guys, and I made a commitment to try to raise funds and all. But I do agree with you. I do like these guys having some skin in the game. It's very easy to not pay attention to the $15 or $20 a game for umpires, which we don't play we don't have that in Vegas, but in civilian tournaments or in some other tournaments, I mean, every pay you got to pay at the plate, man. And the longer you go, it's $70-something for a dozen of balls in a tournament, and these dudes get happy, and I'm happy that they're hitting them out. But damn, some of these fields you can't get them back, and that racks up pretty quickly. So I do like the skin in the game part, but in these last couple of years we've been fortunate, but I'm hoping to raise some more money to be able to travel more. Joe, golf, Terry, I know that you had your business. I mean, the
business, lockdown sports was a passion thing. I retired, but I'm in a different, I don't know how to say it, but I retired the minute I was eligible to retire. But I own a large amount of homes and I rent them out.
Awesome,
and I've been doing that for 30 plus years or more. And we ran a softball tournament. But my softball tournament, even though I had 35 to, sometimes 35 teams a year, was not a moneymaker. I donated $2,500 a year to the police memorial. And each we have like 3-4 bricks there with either East Coast Lawmen, Virginia Lawmen,
cool.
Middle Atlantic the memorial. So, but I looked at it differently. And my guys don't make the money. They don't make $100,000 like you guys do on the West Coast or whatever.
True story.
And, they don't make that much money. And if I can help them out, it's fine. The only thing I require is a little loyalty. And as far as lockdown, that was just a passion gig, and we built it up to six. We built it up pretty good, but it was still there's no money in bat business, none at all. Yeah. It's just if you're into passion. I had 4 employees, 3 of them were cops I worked with, and Ralph. And so it really wasn't a big money maker there. So I am the sole sponsor. I do have a girl that owns Clancy's bar. She's been sponsoring us for years. When I see her, she gives me me and Ralph a little money, and she's been great. But I'm not going to call her up on the phone and ask her for money. I'm in a different situation than most of these other guys. I don't think my guys, they show up in hoopties. I don't think they have the money to help out, and they wouldn't be going here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I bought everything on my Southwest credit card at lockdown, and we had at any point $500,000 or more worth of product inside the store. So I would fly the guys around the country on my Southwest card, and then I charge them for $600 flight. I charge them $150 or $200, and use that money to offset renting a house that costs $3-4 grand. So it really. That's the way I look at it, and I still look at it that way. Cool. If I can help. Now, if it starts reaching into my pocket where I feel disrespected, which I haven't felt in a while, the guy, I don't come off that much. Yeah. And the guy brings his old lady, he's got to chip in. Yeah. He got to chip in a little bit of money. He wants his own separate bedroom. Yeah. But some of these guys, they don't mind cuddling up with 2 couples in a room. I was like, my wife ain't had that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Jeff
don't
Blair,
mean to, I know
No,
that didn't
you're good.
help too many people, but
No,
I
no,
did the
yeah,
golf tournament. And if you don't have help, don't run in a golf tournament. It is a lot of work.
it's huge. That's a huge task. I mean, we've done it
Oh,
for a couple of years for Shields for Kids, and it's extremely challenging. Carly and Deanna will attest to that. Um, but Terry, I love that what you're doing because that goes along with our Keepers of the Peace conference because we're going to have breakout sessions, and one of those is how to invest your money. I mean, you can't you can't rely on our retirement, man. And I was very fortunate 5 years into it that I started Biotechs, our crime and trauma scene cleaning company, and we franchised in a couple of states, and man, they're doing unbelievably well, and I'm very extremely happy for them. And but I'm excited to be able to bring that to people with, especially within our circuit, police, fire, military, EMTs, within our first responders conference. I'm excited to bring that up because Terry, those are those investments you want to make while you have the security of a job, man. Make those investments, get that thing off the ground. That way you can do exactly what you're doing, and that's have that freedom and have that ability to be able to provide. And but at the same time, what you're saying is very true. Making sure that it's not taken for granted or disrespected, because that still comes from your family or other people that you can help. So I'm very happy that you're able to do that for your team. Jeff, thank you for joining us, brother. He says he's dealing with the protests for COVID and the usual cop stuff. 7 more working days, and he won't be late any longer. So we're hoping to have Jeff back on the show. I just didn't want to bother him with too much. I know he's extremely busy. Andy and Albert and even Pop, they go and chase these balls for us, man. Pop, one of our guys on our team, he went on this tall grass and he had these stickers all over him, and everybody brought back like 7 balls, man. And that made me so happy because it really shows that they do appreciate what's going on. They're not just taking it for granted, and Pop doesn't even get a ton of playing time, although he had one of the higher averages in this last tournament. He's still, a lot of our guys, they just have that in them that they're able to go out there and do what they need to do to help me out. And I really do appreciate that. Jennifer Foster, Mario Foster's wife. Yeah, we
hey,
do.
Mario.
Yeah. So Avi says the kids often get $5 each to go find and collect lost softballs. That's my little girl. Yeah, I'll pay it up. It's cheaper, $1 cheaper. But so let's keep going on. We got a little bit more time left. So what is one of the things that you find most challenging on running a team?
Commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Time management, guys. They're on Facebook. They're going to Myrtle Beach or the beach every other week, and then next minute you know they can't go to a tournament. I said, come on, dude. We only play like 4 or 5 tournaments a year. That's it. And so that gets a little frustrating. And it would be a pivotal guy, so forth, so on. So, it's just time management. And this year's a little brutal because of the COVID, but I'm talking years past.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I think that I have the guys, and I don't question any of their commitments. In fact, I always say, family and work first, for sure. This is down the road, but it is hard to get, even with the amount of guys that we have on our team. It's hard to get that commitment, to try to play as many tournaments as you can. And I will say, getting back to kind of the last thing, was playing on the West Coast and playing on the East Coast, completely different. Yeah. Because you have the 3 biggest West Coast tournaments are ours, DEA's, the West Coast Championship, and Vegas, and they're all within the longest trip we take is 3 hours, and driving, and it's an hour flight, and we hold ours in Palm Springs now, which is an hour drive. So, they're very close. Where those guys, they have to travel. Yeah. So it's a bigger burden on their budget than it would be on our budget, for sure. So we can get away with less, so to speak.
I think that's a great point, because there were some comments that came up on PS.com. If you guys don't know about PS.com, Jeff Blair, Del Pickney, they started this PS.com, which is the mecca, if you will, of police softball. I mean, this thing is the big stage. And one of the comments that came up on that message board, Joe, and you can comment on this, is teams not traveling as much. And when I saw that comment, it was like, man, it hurt me because I truly want to take my guys and go travel, man. I mean, do you think we don't want to go to California and hang out and go to Florida and hang out and go to New York and all? But it's extremely difficult, to ask guys to pitch in to go and travel like that all the time. I mean, we're starting to get a little bit more on our feet as far as that's concerned. And maybe next year, I'm hoping we can get one or two more under our belts. But I think that's a great point, Jimmy. California, man. Oh man, what I would give to live in a state like that where you can travel to these badass tournaments with all this great competition and ask guys to just drive there and then come back to work.
And we have some, the Lake Tahoe tournament that's been around for years, which is, you can drive there. It's an hour flight. There's some Northern Cal tournaments. The SenCal guys, they've got we're now seeing some tournaments hopefully popping up in San Diego.
I love that place.
I think it's a little bit easier for us,
to
do that than it would be for those guys, And we always try to do something. We've been out to Joe's tournament, several times. We've been in Florida, New York, Ohio, Detroit. I mean, we've been all over, but that's kind of a one-time thing a year, maybe two, I think a couple of years ago we went to Florida and we went to Joe's and we went to Kansas City, but that was kind of an anomaly for us.
Yeah.
But we do try to do one, at least one.
We try to do two traveling, and but it's just extremely difficult for us, and so I will tell you, Jeff saying that Jimmy G is looking skinny. Somebody get that man a cheeseburger. Stevie from our team, he's asking, Joe, answer this one if you don't mind first. How many tournaments does your team average each year, law enforcement or civilian ball? And do any of their teams play league nights?
Well, like Jimmy said, the closest tournament we have is 3 hours away. That's Kansas City. Everything else is further than that. While he's saying his is, that's the furthest he's got to go. So we do have to. We try to play in some local civvy tournaments, and we probably play one or two or three of those a year. I try to get our guys in about 6 to 7 travel tournaments a year on the PS circuit. And I try to split those up. We go to West Coast. Typically, I've been to Jimmy's tournament a couple times, been up to Terry's with your team training. I got to play with you guys. But overall maybe 10 total. And that's with a few local ones, but even like Jimmy was saying, even with 18, 19, 20 guys on your roster, it's still tough to get 11, 12 guys sometimes.
Yes.
And it's like Terry said, time management or commitment. Like Jimmy said, it's also another thing. Some of these younger guys, they got a different mindset. I think they haven't got to the point where they want to put that before other things, and I think Jimmy, maybe you have it different than maybe me and Terry do, where you have the luxury of, you have an established team on the West Coast and other teams want to come play for you. I don't have that here in St. Louis. You know what I mean? And it's like, we got to find guys that have played ball or playing civvy ball or played, college ball, pro ball, something like that. And to get them to make that jump sometimes is difficult, but I do my best and we still try. But yeah, to get back on point, I try to, as far as number of tournaments, maybe 7 police softball tournaments a year is what
pretty good, man.
What we try to go for.
That's pretty good. Terry?
Yeah, well, if we try to do 4 or 5, the Florida, we try to do about 4 or 5 law ball tournaments a year. And then it got to the point where, your diehard guys, some of them on my team, and then we combined with Brawny and some of the West Coast and Michigan guys, and we formed this lockdown lawman team that we try to do a B conference type situation. And we actually do pretty good, and So, that gives us more games, but that's on the Civvy side. But as far as my Mid-Atlantic team, if we get 4 or 5 out of them, I'll be happy,
Jimmy?
just because of the makeup of guys are spread out,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't got no luxury of picking 5, 6 different teams like Jimmy does. Forget all these other guys. Hey, Joey, come on, play with us. It's very hard.
We try. I want to say we try for about 6, minimum of 6. And if we can get more, we'll get more. It's kind of, as tournaments have dropped off over the years. I mean, you don't see the amount of tournaments that we used to see when I first started playing. I mean, we were playing twice a month. And we weren't really playing a lot of civilian ball. Guys were playing civilian ball, but individually. But we could play as much as we wanted because there were so many tournaments. That's all changed over the years, and now we shoot for 6 and we try to throw it out there so everybody's on the same page. And if we get 6, great. Sometimes I think a couple of years ago, I think we only had 4 or 5. As far as doing civvy ball, guys, we got 4 guys that play with you, Terry, 3 guys that play with you on your lockdown team.
Right.
Guys have civvy teams. A lot of guys are playing senior ball. Nate's playing senior ball now, and he's been playing for a while.
It's inviting.
It's
inviting that senior ball.
JB23 playing senior ball. I played a little senior ball, and so.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at this guy.
Old school right there.
Well, you see the way he's holding his hands. We had Lou and Corey talking about that, man. I could never get that down, but there he is. Let's show that next one. Oh, I think that was
That's
a liner.
Old school. Look at that white ball.
Dude.
That was, I think that was, I want to say like 20 or maybe 2012, 2013 or something like that.
I'll tell you what, go back to that picture real quick. I don't know who that freaking center for an NBA team you have on that coaching box, but holy smokes.
Old Jeff. He's a
blessed.
Riverside Sheriff. He used to pitch for us a little bit back in the day.
Blessed, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, those tournaments are, it's even for our team. One of the things I tell the guys whenever we leave Vegas is, man, you've got to remember how little we play together. If we can get all of our team together once a year, sometimes we're lucky and we get everybody together 2 times a year. But when we go to Vegas, people, are able to make that happen. I try to tell them, dude, this is amazing what we're capable of doing up here. I'm playing as little as we do as a unit. And I really give these guys a lot of credit. I try to remind them of that because, of course, sometimes it doesn't fare so well, and we got to have that talk. But I'm extremely impressed with our guys for as little as we play, and so I'm very proud of of what they're capable of doing when they go to the big show, if you will. Yeah, that's my boys right there. Man, what's funny about that is right before that picture, it was about 2 to 3 months before that, we had 7 guys, man. That's all we had going to Vegas. And, guys that were able to come up and actually get the time off or whatever. And that's extremely stressful because everybody looks at you like, dude, what's up with this? We only got 10 guys, 11 guys. Quickly, because I know we're about 10 minutes left. How many guys do you feel when you travel on the road do you need to feel comfortable going to a tournament?
I'd say about 14, 15 in that range, if not more. I know some guys are going to sit if you have more than 14 or 15, more than they probably want to. But like Jimmy mentioned earlier, I mean, there's going to be injuries. There's injuries. Guys will start cramping if you're, if you're playing 8, 9 games, 10 games. I mean, it happens. And it's good to have extra bodies in case something like that does pop up.
For me, and my guys will tell you, I'm like, give me 10 guys, we'll go. But does that make me feel comfortable? No. I mean, I'd like to have 14 guys for sure. But you tell me you want to go to a tournament and we can get 10 guys, we'll go. Or
just because I say 14, 15 doesn't mean I get 14. 15.
True story. In fact, I think the girls have a picture where we picked up a couple of guys when we went to Florida. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they get, no, not that one. That's
That was you won in St. Louis that year.
yeah, that was your tournament. But
Yep.
there's another one in there with Joe and his
Oh,
boy.
I'm not sure if
Gilbert.
they have that one. Yeah, I
I
think
thought I sent that one. I wanted to throw
you probably
Hey,
did.
Since you bring that up, Jimmy, that's something, when I started playing in the police softball circuit, it's guys like Jimmy and Terry and Torelli that I personally looked up to. Those guys were like, the guys I wanted to model my team after, watching them and how they handled themselves and handled their team. And all three of you guys, I've had the opportunity to actually be in the dugout with you guys. I've played with Terry out in Vegas on the 40 plus. Trini, we went to Virginia Beach together, and Jimmy, we went to West Palm Beach together. And I use those opportunities obviously to get to know everybody and the teams and everything. But I like to watch and observe and watch what Jimmy's doing, watch what Terry's doing, watch what Trini's doing. I learn a lot of things from guys like you, and it's guys like you that help me make my team a better team, and that's my opinion. And any new coach that has the opportunity to go play with other teams and see how they, not just to play with them, but to see how they handle things and how they do things is just, I think, an opportunity you got to take if you got it.
Yeah. One of the things I loved, Terry, about your tournament was we were introduced to Kentucky moonshine. Now, I'm not going to say that we were partaking in any moonshine. I just want to clarify that. It was saved and for a special occasion. But what I will say, there was a dude, I can't remember his name, but he was from Kentucky. And he was like, hey, this is some stuff that, I think is it's a really good, man, we had a celebration after our win in 2016, and that was a part of it. And it came from your tournament. So I think, Joe, like what you're saying, I think it's really neat to be invited. I've been invited, and I want to take them up on their offer to be able to go and, they say play, but I mean, just going and experience a different team's unit and learn from that team, but more importantly, just to be able to experience like new relationships. And the cool part is I could go to any one of y'all's teams and feel at home. I can take my wife, I can take my kids, and we can have a great time, and I can feel comfortable and relaxed. And I would just love being a part. Don't have to necessarily play, just love being a part of a team like I know believes in what I believe in my team. And I think that's a great thing. And I'm very happy to have had you, Joe. And your guys are all wonderful. I could pick any dudes out of that lineup, and I know that they would fit in perfectly with my team. And that's what I love about these relationships that we have, along with the work aspect of things. Being able to call Jimmy, being able to call Terry and say, hey man, we're investigating this, or we're doing this. Hey, what do you got? Or what do you think? And I've had that happen. And I think that's another extension of what we're doing here with police softball. I think it's very special. Let's see. Oh,
there's the Nightcliff boys right there.
Dude, I love those dudes, man.
Yeah.
Those guys came down to that tournament, and I cannot say it enough how I really do believe that any of us could jump on any other team and just feel at home. You feel a little nervous. You feel like a little anxiety, like if they're going to put me in. I got to perform. But in the end, man, it's really just about being involved with each other and building those relationships and those experiences. And I think that's really neat.
Yeah, that was great. You let us come out to your tournament. That I talk to those guys every day. And I know like Terry's guys, the lockdown guys, they're always chatting it up, and you got, a couple of the DEA guys, you got some Great Lakes guys, you got some, Florida guys, Georgia guys, it was just fun to be able to go play with guys you'd never played with. And,
that was Africa hot that weekend, though.
Oh, it was bad, dude. I'm telling you, that is San Antonio. In the summertime, I think it was August. I think it's when we did it. I'm not too sure. I think it was August.
It was a little warm.
Everybody bought the old lady, and we rented a house with a pool in the backyard that was right near the river. It was phenomenal. We had a good time, but
that's cool.
It was Africa hot though.
It was hot.
That was a good time.
Hot. Well, I'll tell you what I love is that we've been on for an hour and 26 minutes, We've had 30 people as an average, and this isn't about, all of that. What I love is that people have sent me messages 2-3 days after an airing of our show, and they're like, man, I loved it. I couldn't watch it on the night, but I've watched it, and I watched the whole thing. And what's really cool is that people will say, I only intended to watch it for the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just to kind of tune in and see what it was about. And I ended up watching it the whole time. So I think that's really neat, man. And I love that we have Jeff and Dell that created this forum as far as ps.com, and that we're able to have an environment like this where we can talk to each other, especially when October's come and gone. Because although we take a break, I like to give my guys a break so that their wives and their families can have them, from October all the way through March. But it is cool to be able to still keep in contact with each other and talk. One thing I will let you know is I've got a Keepers of the Peace podcast where we're going to be talking a little bit more about, kind of like the, I don't know if you want to say intimate, but kind of like that intimate part of, if you will, of what it is to be a Keepers of the Peace. The next one's going to be called Holding the Line, where we're going to be talking about what's going on currently, not the specific topic, but more about like what's happening that you're involved in. Joe's over here on, 16, 18 days worth of work. We got guys that when we talked earlier today, I said, I really wish somebody asked me a question and they said, hey, Trini, how are your partners doing? Talking about on the department. I said, what I wish the citizens could realize, I wish that they could see is how not a single one of the guys that I talk to has ever said anything that's talking down to any individual that's out there. Now they're talking about the situation. They're talking about how it sucks to be spat at, to be able to have things thrown at them and to be called the things that they're being called. But they talk about more of the situation and not the community. And I think that's extremely honorable that we all knew what we were getting into when we signed up. And we go into it realizing it's just a part of it, man. That's why I can do what I do. It's why I'm here. I'm here for the right reasons. And it doesn't come with thanks all the time. And I really do want to say this to all our first responders out there. Thank you so much for doing what you do. It doesn't matter that I am a first responder. You keep my family safe right now. I'm retired. But I don't worry. I mean, my house is protected. I got, come to my house. But I'm just saying my house is protected. I'm just saying that.
Got the spaceship gun you're trying to sell.
Yeah, there you go. There's a lot of rounds in that one. Plus, I have extended mag, so come on. But no, I'm just saying that I really am appreciative for everybody's service out there. So we're about to wrap it up. Any final words, Jimmy, Terry, Joe? Anything you'd like to?
One thing and I want to mention these two guys because they've been instrumental on the team. One is Larry Jones. He's a retired Long Beach copper. He lives out near neck of the woods, south of San Antonio. And Tyson Becker, who's does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So thanks, Ty. I appreciate that. And then of course, all the guys, it's an absolute pleasure to have everybody and their family on the squad. And again, echoing what you just said, Trini, thank you to everybody out there fighting a good fight. Times are crazy, stay straight.
Love my Middle Atlantic guys. Mario, Wayne, John, everybody. Love you.
Hey, let me just tell you this. So we have a short format to this. Usually lasts about an hour. People will probably tune in and they may only have an hour's worth of time or an hour 30, but a lot of people will tune in later. I want to be respectful of your time. So if you've got to go, I appreciate you coming here and we'll catch up. I'm going to extend this just a little bit longer on a certain part of this topic, and that is get an opportunity right now. We're amongst family. There are civilians who can tune in and watch it. I mean, it's out there. But amongst family, what has your service to your community meant to you, Terry? I know that when I was 19 and I was in Saudi, and I'm landing on a blacked out air base with a bunch of foreign language going around me, and at the time we got a debrief that we were asked not to call home and tell anybody about, and the base that I was going to, world's largest accumulation of arms. We had some stuff that was going on that nobody knew about. And I remember when I was overseas, I remember thinking, I don't even care if anybody knows my name. What I care about is that everybody that is going to enjoy the freedoms, those ability to express themselves, that freedom of speech, which is going on right now, which I respect. It doesn't even matter if anybody knows my name. What matters is when I look at my flag and I think about my family, my friends, and everybody that's back home. I'm protecting what I believe is the greatest nation in the world, and that is enough to me that if I don't leave this place, I'm good with it. I knew what I signed up for, and I was ready to give my life. What is your service, Terry? You in particular is, I don't know if Jimmy, Joe, I don't know if you have any military service or not, but I do know that Terry has, his service to our country and the armed forces and the military. Terry, what has your service meant to you?
Well, the Marine Corps stuck with me the rest of my life. And that's one thing. But I joined the Marines right after Vietnam. And, I had a family member lost there. And so that Marine Corps was something. I was a grunt. I was infantry. Went to 40 countries overseas.
Wow.
On floats and stuff. And I got no regrets on my Marine Corps time. I did 5 active. But when I got out, I'll be quite honest, I'm a kid from Jersey down here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. My first 15, 16 years on the police department, 14 was spent as an undercover. I bought over 1,000 times. Dope, this, that, and the other thing, murder for hire, all that. So I was a kill them all, let God sort them out kind of cop, hey, too bad, the jail's that way, And then when I went to homicide, it really hits you hard as a
I don't think I could do it
as a human, because my first 3 murders, 3 out of my first 4 or 5 murders was shaken baby murders, and we had convictions on everyone. But to talk to a guy that has no reaction, and I'm a grandparent of 3 kids, and a father of 3, and so that was it brought me home to a little bit basically where I hate to say this, but you're a little bit more compassion for the public, compassion for that. But when you're in, I spent 4.5 years in DEA task force, and then I spent, and then I was in narcotics. You don't really, I just want to take all the dope off the street and put all the bad guys in jail. But until I got there is when I realized, there's another side here, and it helped me transition to the possible life after police work, and that's where I started getting a little bit selfish on the real estate, selfish on other things. So that's, and as far as helping the community, we've donated so much to things in the community that, it's different now. But if you knew me when it was kill them all, let God sort them out type of person, it's different. And you need that kind of guy. Am I right, Jimmy? You need that kind of guy in narcotics. But it's a different world once you get out.
No, we need that kind of guy to be able to, man. One of the things that today I did it. I had it's difficult with my lungs. With my situation, I think I'm at like 40% capacity of what my lungs are capable of normally, and I was thank you. I was very proud of my stamina. I have a lot of stamina, and that was one of the things I relied on. And having 40% capacity is no joke. Running to first base, it sounded like I ran a mile, And but one of the things that has meant a lot to me is being able to look at guys in whether it's in the service or as a law enforcement officer, those dudes that aren't necessarily all there. And you sound like, Terry, like you may not have all been there in the beginning. I love those dudes because those are the dudes that freaking, man, they pump everybody up. They get everybody going. And you're like, the hell with my own safety, my hell with my own regard. I'm going towards the fight. I'm going to make things happen. There is absolutely a place. What's that saying in the military as far as like special ops? I mean, I was on SWAT, for 9 years, and you trust them. What do they say? I may not trust them with my girlfriend or my money, but I trust them with my life. And we need those dudes, man. And so I'm very happy that you were who you were at the time that you were, and I'm happy that who you've become. It's meant a lot to us in our circuit, and obviously you've had a serious impact on people. So thank you. Jimmy, what has your service meant to you?
For me, it was just an opportunity to kind of give back. I mean, drugs are nasty things, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff out there, and run into a lot of crazy people. I know that at the federal level, we're basically just plugging holes. We're trying to go up the ladder, and but we're fighting against our own system. So for me, it was just, hey, do the best job you can, and be respectful of of what's going on, and just trying to do a good job. I don't need anybody to know my name and know what kind of cases I did or any of that. But if I could make a difference, then that's what I was there to do. I mean, it's just kind of as simple as that. I just wanted to give back. I've been pretty blessed in my life and the opportunities that I've had. And so that's really what it comes down to.
I think that finding something that is bigger than yourself is a huge part of what helps you to sometimes get over difficult situations. I mean, I
this game's a stress relief.
Oh, no, without a doubt.
BS.com is a stress relief.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, it is. For me, it is. I don't have a very big circle. I'm not a social butterfly, and it's very difficult for me to go to parties, to go to. This is not as difficult. I'm in my own home. I'm on a computer, and I'm talking to people that I relate to. But on a normal basis, it's extremely difficult for me to be in social environments. So I think that, Terry, one of the things I have on my PS.com deal is that, this isn't about the home run. I don't know what it exactly says, but it's not about the home run, the base hit, whatever. This is about the camaraderie. This is my therapy. And so that's a big emphasis, for me. But I do appreciate y'all's service. Joe, what does your service mean?
Well, right now is a tough time to be in law enforcement, I'd say. There's thousands with the riots and protests and stuff going on right now, and it's been pretty regular, I'd say, for the last 6 years, at least in the St. Louis area. And you constantly have thousands of people screaming at you and putting you down and saying negative things. You got the media dogging you constantly. You're working under a microscope basically, and every little thing that you're doing is being put out there. And I think it's tough. But that being said, I work in a community that I grew up in, and I enjoy it. And even with those thousands of people that are putting you down, and media's dogging you and everything else, there's that one person that'll stop you and tell you how much they appreciate what you're doing for the community, and that keeps you going. And this is where I work where I grew up, and I'm going to work there till I'm done with my career. And I'm just giving back to the community where I grew up in. And like I said, it's tough at times, but there's good people out there that recognize what we're doing on a daily basis, and they might not say it as much as the people that are dogging us, but they're out there, and when it keeps your spirits up when you hear something positive, you know.
I make it a point to, whenever somebody says, "Hey, thank you for your service," right? I always make it a point to not just say thank you. I make it a point to say, you know, I just want you to know that it really means a lot to me that you just said that. I mean, you know, when we're jumping fences in the middle of the night and this guy's known to have a gun or something like that, and we continue to chase this guy, in our minds, it's what might this dude or gal, whichever, do to somebody that I can prevent right now. And I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that. So I'm going to keep rolling. Even if that dude turns a corner, is what it is, man. I'm going to do the best I can to get around that corner. It's tactically sound as possible, but I'm going to do it because I would rather take that than somebody else take it. And so I really wish more people could hear our stories, and that's kind of the purpose of the Keepers of the Peace podcast, is to be able to share some of that kind of stuff and to give some people some insight. But I'll tell you what, the reason that we went an hour and 42 minutes is I really believe that this is valuable to us. Long form, meaning it doesn't matter. I really don't care how many people are viewing. I really don't care about any of that. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy the company. And I think it's going to be really neat, that it's going to improve our ability to be able to bring people in to our environment and to be able to maybe look at Vegas a little differently now. I think that, Jimmy, I've never been able to sit down and really talk to you for very long, but through this, I feel like, all right, man, you know, it's going to be pretty cool to talk to Jimmy next time. It's different. And then your team, it's going to be different to hang out with you guys, you know. Terry, I've had an experience with them, but didn't really get to talk to his guys as much. They just put a whooping on us, and it is what it is. But, you know, we high-fived and all that, but now I'm hoping they'll take it easy on me, and we'll have some time.
You drank all your beer in your tournament.
But no, I'll tell you what, thank you guys so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. It was a great episode. It's the longest episode we've had yet to this point. So that tells you something. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be able to see some things that we're going to be doing here in the future. One of the things I want to help our first responders in is being able to curb some of this suicide that's taking place. And it's a big thing for us, and I get it. Yeah, we're talking about Terry and homicide. I could never work in homicide. It takes a special person to be able to work homicide. And normally in our department, it's about 2 to 3 years. That's about the average. If you're there longer than 3, 4, 5 years, you have a gift of being able to categorize, not put any less emphasis, but just being able to categorize what you're doing and to be able to handle it. Because I know
Trinity
that
Ralph
I
with
can't.
30 years in homicide.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I think 25 of his 35 years in
Wow.
homicide.
Man.
Supervisor and a detective. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you told me that, because next time I see him, I'm going to give him an extra tight hug for that. That's taxing. It takes a toll, man. And people don't get that, man. It takes a toll on your being. It takes a toll on you, man, and you can't let that stuff go. And that's what I wish that people could see, is the kind of toll that, you know, sometimes our profession takes, and he may never get a thank you for it from the general public. I know he does, but I mean, with an intimate type of understanding of what it takes to be a homicide detective. I don't know if it's a detective or not, but usually you have to make a little rank to be there. That's amazing. Ralph, thank you so much, you know, for what you've done for our community. So on that note, Jimmy, Terry, thank you guys so much for joining us, man. I really, really appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you guys.
Absolute honor and a pleasure. Appreciate it, Trini. Doing a great job.
Talking to seeing you guys again.
Appreciate it, Trini.
Thank
Joe,
you,
you be safe, bro.
Thanks, buddy. See you,
Yeah,
Jimmy.
man.
See you, Terry.
All right,
See
man.
you later.
Hey, Joe. So we got some great shows coming up here soon, and we're gonna get this road deal up and running so that we can get some people who call in and to be able to comment and ask questions live. We'll get that up and going this next podcast. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, man. Appreciate
Thanks
you.
again for having me, my man.
All right, Joe. All right, man. So thank you guys for joining in again. Remember, subscribe to Trinidad YouTube channel, not for a vanity reason, but because I do believe that I'm going to positively be able to affect people through my experiences. Turning my struggles into a gift is important. And, I have certain illnesses I've been through. I've been through business and my service. And I want to be able to help people deal with those things. So through my personal experience, I hope to provide that value to you. Make sure you go to the channel, subscribe. When you subscribe, share it with 10 people and you'll be registered to win this Chris Vector, this gun that's chambered for a 45 round. It's going to be a really neat thing. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and we will talk to you next week. We'll make an announcement on what the next show is going to be about. And don't forget, man, I got your 6.